Hello and welcome back. We've been working with derivatives in the context of straight line motion, position, velocity, acceleration. But that is not the only context in which we can use derivatives to describe rates of change. In this lesson, we'll see derivatives used in a variety of other contexts, using both one rate, sometimes even two. Now let's just back up and get a broad overview of rates. A rate tells us how fast something is changing compared to something else. In math, we usually, or often, compare a quantity's change to time, or to whatever other variable it depends on. And we write that comparison as y prime of t. If y prime of t is greater than 0, then y, whatever quantity we're looking at, is increasing. If y prime of t is less than 0, then y, whatever quantity we're looking at, is decreasing. And if y prime of t equals 0, then it's not changing, at least right at that moment. Example 1. A fitness app launches a New Year's workout challenge. The total number of workout minutes logged by all users, in thousands, X weeks after the challenge starts, is modeled by that lovely polynomial right there. Between 0 and 20 weeks is what we're working with. So the first thing, find m prime of x, so the derivative of m. So we'll take the derivative of our polynomial, and you get negative 6x plus 96, and that's going to stand for thousands of minutes per week. So with that, we can go on to b. Is the total number of minutes logged increasing or decreasing at x equals 10? So take 10 and plug it in to the derivative. You get 36. 36 is bigger than 0, which means that the quantity we're looking at, the number of minutes logged, is increasing at x equals 10 weeks. Part C, is the number of minutes logged increasing faster at 5 weeks or at 10 weeks? And explain. At 5 weeks, we have a rate of 66. At 10 weeks, we have a rate of 36. So it's faster at 5 weeks because 66 is bigger than 36. Part D, for what value of x is the derivative equal to 0? And what does that actually mean? Well, we'll just take the derivative and set it equal to 0. And we can solve for that. We get x equals 16. So the derivative is 0 at 16 weeks. But what does that mean? It means that at week 16, the total number of workout minutes logged momentarily stops. Now, what if there are two rates of change acting simultaneously? A quantity can change because of two competing rates acting on it. A rate in, perhaps, and a rate out. We would get a net rate of change by taking the rate in and subtracting the rate out. If the net rate is greater than 0, then we have an increasing quantity. If the net rate is less than 0, we have a decreasing quantity. And if the net rate is 0, then the quantity is momentarily not changing. Now here's a calculator tip, or for Desmos. Name the rate in and rate out functions as separate entities, and then you can define a third entry as their difference or net rate of change. So then you can graph each or evaluate each on its own. Example 2. Every winter, snow sports fans line up before dawn for opening day at Summit Peak. The lift starts running at 8 a.m. and they go for a 9-hour day. The total number of skiers who have entered the resort T hours after the lift opened is modeled by this lovely polynomial here, S of T. And we're working for about 9 hours here. At T equals 0, there are no skiers on the mountain. Now, skiers also head home through the day, and the rate at which skiers leave is L of t per hour. So find the rate at which skiers enter the resort. Well, S of t is basically a position function. So to find the rate at which skiers enter the resort, we'll have to take the derivative of that. So there's S prime of t, 4t cubed minus 72t squared plus 324t. Part B. At 11 a.m., that's 3 hours after they open, find the rate in and the rate out. So the rate in is just going to be S prime of 3. Plug 3 into the derivative, and you get 432 skiers per hour that are entering. Now out, L of t is already a rate. So we just have to plug in 3 directly to the function that they've given us. So if you plug in 3 directly to there, you get 90 skiers per hour. Now compare those. Is the number of skiers increasing or decreasing at 11 a.m.? Well, in is bigger than out, right? The other way we could say that is looking at the net rate. Let's name it H of t. And H of t is the rate in minus the rate out. Oops, let me clear that up. There we go. The rate in minus the rate out is 342 skiers per hour. That is positive. So that means we have an increasing number of skiers. They're entering faster than they're leaving. Now remember my calculator hint. I said to plug everything in separately. So here, I did this in Desmos. You can see here's my position function. And then I said let f of t be the derivative of that, okay? Then I also plugged in L of t. That was the rate that's leaving. And then here I created my net change function, which is, that was S prime of t, okay, minus L of t. And then they graphed that net change for me. So I can just look to see whenever that's above the x-axis, there are more skiers entering than leaving. The skiers on the mountain is increasing. So that's all of this stuff, right? Now, anytime it dips below the x-axis, there are more skiers leaving than entering. So the skiers are decreasing. Part E, at what time is the rate entering equal to the rate leaving? So that's right where it crosses the x-axis, whenever that net rate equals 0, so 7.394 hours after 8 a.m., so about 3:24 p.m. All right, let's go on to example 3. At a concert venue, cars enter the parking garage at a rate of, okay, now do you see that this E of t, okay, is already a rate, and leave at a rate of, so they've given us 2 rates. They enter at a rate of E of t and leave at a rate of L of t. And we're open for, let's see, t hours, so we're open for 5 hours. Find the rate at which the number of cars in the garage is changing at t equals 2. Well, E of 2, the rate at which they're entering, is 240 cars per hour. L of 2, the rate at which they're leaving, is 70 cars per hour. So the net rate is entering minus leaving at about 170 cars per hour. Is, part B, is the number of cars in the garage increasing or decreasing at t equals 2? Okay, well, 170 is bigger than 0, so increasing. Part C, find the time the number of cars in the garage is momentarily not changing, and explain what this means. Well, that means the rate entering has to equal the rate leaving. So let's just graph both of those and see where they intersect. So right here, where those graphs intersect, they're momentarily the same. The entering and leaving rate is the same at about 4.206 hours. So that means the cars in the garage is momentarily constant. We can also look at these problems with a table. A food bank tracks donations arriving and food being distributed to families. The table below gives the rate of donations, so it's D of T is a rate, and the rate of distribution, F of T, is also a rate. So maybe just make a note of that so you know whether you're working with a position function or a derivative. Okay, the rate of distribution, F of T in pounds per hour at selected times T, so we're working with hours again. D of T and F of T are both continuous. Find the net rate of food on hand at T equals 3 and interpret it. So the net rate is going to be donations arriving minus donations being distributed. So 110 minus 70, all right? So about 40 pounds per hour. The food on hand is increasing by about 40 pounds per hour at time T equals 3. Is the amount of food on hand increasing or decreasing at time T equals 5? So D of 5 minus F of 5. Ooh, negative 20. So negative 20 is less than 0, so the amount of food on hand is decreasing. Part C, must there be a time between time 3 and time 5 when the amount of food on hand is momentarily not changing? Justify. Now they've kind of set you up for this answer because we know that the net rate of change is plus 40 at time T equals 3, and the net rate of change is minus 20 at time T equals 5. Therefore, here we go. Since D of T minus F of T is continuous. Now, it's important to say this, that D of T minus F of T is continuous. And we know that because D of T and F of T are continuous, so you can add and subtract the functions. But that sets you up, that provides the basis for the next part of your justification. Okay, so D of T and F of T are continuous and change sign. So by the intermediate value theorem, there must be a time between 3 and 5 where the net rate equals 0. So again, make sure you say that we have a continuous function. Otherwise, you haven't set up the conditions for the intermediate value theorem. Last one. A school's fall carnival opens at noon. The number of people at the carnival, T hours after opening, is modeled by this lovely function right here. It is not a rate, it is a parent or position function. And it looks like the carnival is open for about 6 hours. Find A prime of T. Now, this is a calculator question, but you need to actually write the derivative. So you need to do that by hand. A prime of T is 150 cosine T minus 10T plus 30 over root T. At approximately what time does attendance reach its maximum, and justify your answer? This is why it's a calculator question, because let's graph both of these. And you'll see in red we have A of T, and in blue we have A prime of T. Now look right here where A prime of T crosses the x-axis. That's where A prime of T equals 0. That's a slope of 0. And look here, as we go up, you can see that it corresponds with the slope of 0 and the parent function. A prime of T equals 0 at 1.619. A of T is at a maximum then at T equals 1.619. So again, the 0 of the derivative is corresponding to the 0 slope of the parent function, which right now is a maximum, but we're going to learn more thorough justifications of that next unit. For right now, thanks for being here.